welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share a delicious sweet recipe. It's an iced lemon pound cake with no carbs and it's sugar-free, so it's loaded with lots of protein, which will help you shed body fat and it'll help you gain muscle and maintain lean muscle. First of all, you're going to need 12 egg whites, so I'm going to start by separating my egg whites, and you want to make sure that you do not have any of the egg yolk mixed in with the egg white. So you just want egg whites. So I'm starting with separating my eggs first. So I'm starting with 12 egg whites. I'm using whole eggs instead of an egg white, a liquid egg white. It tends to bake better when you use fresh egg whites. So now that I have all my egg whites in my mixing bowl, I'm going to mix my egg whites with my hand mixer, and you'll want to mix your egg whites with your hand mixer on medium to medium high speed. It takes several minutes because you want it to reach the consistency of that fluffy, thick, white egg white substance. If you have like a KitchenAid mixer, that's going to be faster because it blends a lot faster than a hand mixer. So you can use either one, but you do want it to reach that consistency to where it's firm and fluffy and to where it's almost coming away from the edges of the bowl. So now that I have my egg whites mixed, as you can see, there is very stiff and fluffy. So now I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients. So first of all, I'm going to make like a little hole in the center to add my egg white protein powder. So first of all, I'm going to add 1 cup of egg white protein powder, which comes to about 80 grams of egg white protein powder. So this is just pure egg white protein powder. There's nothing added to it. No flavor, it's just egg whites. Okay, so I have 80 grams, 1 cup of the egg white protein powder. I'm going to pour that into the center of my egg white mixture. So I'm now adding a half a teaspoon of sea salt to this mixture. And I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of allulose sweetener. So this has no calories. It's a sugar-free sweetener. And allulose is good for baking. So I'm adding 1 cup of the allulose. And you don't have to add this much allulose to your lemon pound cake, but I like sweets and I like my sweets to be sweet, so that's why I'm adding this much. You can add a half a cup or 3/4 cup, however you like the sweetness of your sweets or your cake. So I'm adding 1 cup of the allulose. And I'm going to go ahead and mix these dry ingredients with my egg white mixture. And just enough to mix it in. So I'm mixing on low speed. So now that I have my dry ingredients mixed in with my egg white mixture, I'm going to add my liquid ingredients, which is going to be a lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, and I'm also going to use some pure lemon extract just because I want to taste a lot of lemon in my pound cake. So first of all, I'm going to take the lemon and put some lemon zest into the egg white batter. So I'm just taking this from one lemon. Okay, so now that I have my lemon zest from the lemon peel, I'm going to add that to my egg white mixture. And then I'm going to cut my lemon in half and add the lemon juice from the lemon. So I'm going to squeeze the lemon into a little dish before I add it to the mixture, just so I can ensure that none of the seeds get into my egg white mixture. So I'm taking the juice from one whole lemon. First, I'm going to remove the seeds. And then I'm going to pour my lemon juice into my egg white mixture. And I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of lemon extract. And then just to give it that color, that buttery color, and a little bit of buttery taste, I'm going to use a little bit of, I can't believe it's not butter, spray. So I'm going to put about 10 spritz of this into my egg white mixture, just to give it that buttery color and a little bit of a buttery taste. Now I'm going to mix these ingredients in with the egg white. So I mixed it just enough to ensure that all the lemon juice and the lemon extract and the lemon zest is incorporated throughout all the egg white mixture. I'm going to pour my mixture into a 10-inch loaf pan, but I'm going to line this with parchment paper first. So altogether, if you're using a hand mixer, it took me about 8 to 9 minutes to mix the egg whites with a hand mixer. Now, if you have a KitchenAid mixer, or more of a professional mixer, it's not going to take as much time. And unfortunately, I don't have one of those, so maybe for Christmas I'll buy myself one of those and then I can make these a little bit faster. But anyway, a hand mixer works just as well. And you don't want to let your egg white mixture sit for too long. You want to keep it fresh and fluffy and stiff. So now that I have this ready, I'm going to line my pan. So I now have my baking pan lined with parchment paper. I'm also going to spray just a tad of olive oil spray inside the paper just to make sure nothing sticks. And then I'm going to pour my egg white batter into my baking pan. So it's just enough to fill my 10-inch loaf pan. So I'm smoothing it out to make sure it is completely full in the corners. And then I'm going to place this in the oven. I've preheated my oven at 325 and I'm going to bake my cake for 30 minutes, but I'm going to check it after about 20 minutes. Place my cake on the center rack in my oven and it's baking at 325, and we're going to let this bake for 30 minutes and then I will come back and check it and it should be done and ready to cool off. Oh my goodness, this cake is looking delicious. So it's been cooking for about 20 minutes. I'm just going to touch it on top. It's still a little soft on top, so I'm going to leave it in for about 5 to 10 more minutes so that I can make sure that it has baked all the way through. So my lemon pound cake has been baking for exactly 30 minutes and I believe it is ready. So I'm going to pull it out a little bit and just touch to make sure it's firm. Yes, it feels perfect. So I'm going to let this sit in the oven for 30 more minutes. I'm going to turn my oven off first. This way I can ensure that the loaf will not collapse once I take it out. So you need to let it sit in the oven just so it will stay risen, and we'll let it cool down for 30 minutes. So I'm going to turn my oven off and set my timer for 30 minutes. And then we will take the cake out and then it'll be ready to put the icing on. So now that my lemon pound cake is cooling in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and make the icing for the cake. So I'm going to use Swerve confectioner's sugar. So this is sugar-free and it has 0 calories. I'm going to use 1.5 cups of this. And it looks just like confectioner's sugar. It's very, very powdery. As you can see. So we need 1.5 cups. Okay. Now that I have my sugar-free, 0 calorie confectioner's sugar, now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon extract. And I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of unsweetened vanilla almond milk, which practically has hardly any calories for 2 tablespoons and hardly any fat or any carbs and definitely no sugar. So we have 2 tablespoons of unsweetened almond milk. And now that I have all my ingredients, I'm going to use my whisk and whisk the ingredients until my icing forms. So once I've started mixing my confectioner's sugar and my almond milk and my lemon extract, I'm going to go ahead and add some lemon juice. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, because right now the icing is very thick, so I need to loosen it up a little bit, and this will just add a little bit more lemon flavor to my icing. So 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then I'm going to whisk my icing. Until it's a creamy, smooth texture. If you can see that. And that looks perfect, so I'm going to let this sit until my cake is ready, and then I will add the icing to the top of my cake. So I think I'm going to taste it and make sure that it's perfect. Oh my gosh, that is so good. It like melts in your mouth. and it has just enough lemon flavor with a little zing but sweetness at the same time. This is going to be so good. So I'm going to let this sit, and when my cake is ready, then I'm going to ice the cake. Okay, you guys, so now my pound cake is ready. It's done. So I'm going to take it out of the pan and let it sit on my cooling rack. So I'm just going to pull it out with the parchment paper. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Look at this. You would think that this was like made with flour and sugar. It just looks like the real thing, but it's made with egg whites. So I'm just peeling the parchment paper away from the cake. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. It is beautiful. It's perfect. It's that nice golden brown with a little buttery color to it. So I'm gonna let this sit just a little bit longer before I put my icing on top. But I just wanted to let you guys see what it looked like once I took it out of the oven. Okay, you guys, so now that my cake is cooled down, I'm going to put the icing on top. And you can just let the icing drizzle down. I'm trying to smooth mine across the whole top. I'm gonna let this sit for just a few minutes before I cut it, just to let the icing get a little firm on top. But before I do that, I need to taste the icing again to make sure it tastes okay. Oh my gosh. That is so good. I cannot wait to eat this. So I'm going to be eating a slice of this for my last meal tonight, which will be like a dessert for me with a cup of coffee. This is going to be so good. So let this sit for just a few minutes, and then I'll cut into it so you can see what it looks like when I cut the cake. Okay, you guys, so now it's time to cut the iced lemon pound cake. So actually, I'm only going to cut this into 4 slices because I need 1 slice as a meal, because 1 slice has about 23.5 grams of protein, and I need about 25 grams of protein per meal right now. So I know that seems like a huge piece of cake, but believe me, this is very low in calories, very high in protein, and hardly no carbs and no sugar whatsoever. So you can definitely eat a huge slice of this cake and not have to worry about gaining any body fat. All right, so I'm gonna slice it into 4 pieces. So I'm marking to make sure they're all about the same size. My gosh, this looks so good. Okay, looks like that's about even, all 4 of those slices. And if you can see the inside, the consistency of this cake reminds me of kind of like angel food cake and pound cake together. So it's very light, it's not real heavy like a pound cake, and it almost looks like angel food cake on the inside, and it kind of feels like kind of spongy at the same time. But anyway, you guys, like I said, I'm having a slice of this as one of my meals for my last meal today, and unfortunately that's not right now. I have to wait a few hours until my next meal. So I'm going to save a slice of this for my dinner, which will be my dessert. And then the other 3 slices, I'll be eating those within the next few days. So like I said, this is a meal for me, and this can be a meal for you. The total amount of calories for the entire cake is 471 calories. The total amount of carbohydrates for this cake is 5 grams of carbs, and that came from the fresh lemon that I used. Half of those carbs come from sugar from the lemon, and the other half comes from fiber. So that's hardly any carbohydrates whatsoever. And then there's 0 fat because I used all egg whites. So believe me, you do not have to feel guilty by eating this cake. You could eat probably the whole thing, just depends on what your macros are. So I am actually in competition prep for my figure competition, which is 5 weeks away from now. And I've been eating a slice of this cake almost every day for the past 3 weeks. So don't tell me that you cannot enjoy good foods and sweets while you're trying to lose body fat. If you know how to make the food and know how to fit it into your macros, then you can eat good things. You just need to know how to make those foods, to not use sugars and high fats. It's just, like I said, it just depends on what you need for your body as far as your macronutrients and whatever your goals are. So I hope that you like this recipe. I hope that you will try it. And if you like this recipe, or if you've enjoyed watching my video and watching me make this cake, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And please give me a thumbs up, letting me know that you like this recipe. Thank you so much, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.